Imagine you have an online presentation coming up and you only learned about it 30 minutes before it has to begin. And you start feeling those physical sensations and you start having that panic attack starting to kick in. I want you to learn how to stop those panic attacks before they even begin. Welcome to Men's Mental Health. I'm Dr. D and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be talking all about 3 different tools and techniques you can use to stop those panic attacks before they even begin. So remember, panic attacks are a vicious cycle of emotions, thoughts, physical responses that are going on. They start getting interrelated and we start over-focusing, overthinking them. And the next thing you know, we're starting to kick into a panic attack. So we're going to go over 3 specific tools that you can use to stop those panic attacks before they even begin. But first, I want you to know you are not alone in this. So there's this phenomenon called scopophobia. Scopophobia means you have a fear of being watched. And unfortunately, sometimes when we're being watched, we start catastrophizing things. We start overthinking the stuff. We start putting greater emphasis on them than they really deserve. And we start getting those panicky kinds of feelings. And so what are some things that you can do to stop that cycle? Here's the first thing I do. I use this tool and technique called best, worst, most likely. So let's go back to that example. I'm about to go on to a meeting. I was told 30 minutes ahead of time that I'm going to have to give a presentation on it. And so I start having what's called anticipatory anxiety. Now, I know that's a psychological term, and I try to stay away from the psychological jargon, but this is a good one to know. Anticipatory anxiety is about me looking forward, and I'm worried about what's coming up. I'm thinking, oh, I got this presentation coming up, and now I start worrying, am I going to be prepared? What do I need to do? Is it going to be good enough? So I'm anticipating that it's going to go badly. Let's go through worst, best, most likely. So I start looking at the worst case scenario. I get into that meeting and I have an absolutely horrible presentation. It's the worst presentation I've ever had. And I have a panic attack in the middle of it. I can't even do the presentation. That would be the worst case scenario. Let's go to best case scenario. I give the greatest presentation of my entire life. That would be a best case scenario. Most likely, I'm going to get in there, I'm going to do the presentation, and it's going to go well. Most of life happens in that most likely area. Sometimes best case scenario happens. Sometimes worst case scenario happens. But most of life is going to be in the middle. What's something else you can do? Next one up is the STOP technique. So this is an acronym, S-T-O-P. Psychology loves acronyms. S stands for literally stop. Hit the pause button. T stands for take a few deep breaths. O stands for observe. Observe your emotions, your physical responses, and your thoughts. So you're getting that helicopter view. What is it all about? What's going on here? And then P, plan your course of action. So in that plan of course of action, you want to figure out what you're going to do about the situation and put it into action. Next one up is called TIP, another acronym, T-I-P-P for this one. First one is temperature. This one's kind of interesting. Maybe you know someone or you've heard of someone who falls through ice on a pond or on a lake and they survive. So the blood goes to the major organs to save that body. Once you have a big bowl like this, fill it up with ice cold water and then you dunk your face into it. You're kind of giving your brain that impression like, ooh, what's going on here? Maybe we need to go into that survival mode, and we start slowing things down, which is bringing down the anxiety and it's preventing that anxiety attack. So you are now taking control over it. There's the T, temperature. I stands for intense exercise. So you want to get something where the heart rate is going, you're sweating, you're doing something, whatever works for you. Now, P, paced breathing. You're going to hear a common theme going with the breathing. The breathing is super important. And paced breathing, what does it mean? The average adult takes 12 to 20 breaths per minute, which means 1 breath every 3 to 5 seconds. There's your pace. So you're actually going to be slowing it down if you got anxiety going on. And then the last one, progressive muscle relaxation. And that's where we're teaching our body the difference between tension and relaxation. So the 3 tools are best, worst, most likely. Remember, most of life happens in that most likely area. Stop, where you literally stop, take a few deep breaths, get that observation, helicopter view, and plan your course of action. And then the last one that we went over was TIP. Temperature, invigorating exercise, paced breathing, progressive muscle relaxation. All right, so thank you for joining me today. and I appreciate you taking the time. If you like this, please hit subscribe, like, and if you have ideas of things you want to hear about in the future, please let me know. One thing, keep in mind, this is not therapy itself. These are tools, techniques that therapists often use. And if you find that you need some help, you're struggling with some things, check in the description of steps to do, because if you need therapy, help is out there.